Okay, let's do this. I believe that we are live right now. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. Lots of problems getting started, and we have 55 minutes to go to make our way through this show. Apologies for the late start. I am Josh Engleman. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Here's the deal, folks. And by the way, I hope you played Alper and Şengün last night. Crazy games. We have 12 games today on the main slate. We have 24 teams to get through. We have 53 minutes to do it. This is not going to be a typical show. Good morning to everybody. We can't break everything down here. We'd be here for hours. It's early. It's the first big slate of the season. We're just going to touch on everything we know to start. Okay? So let's do that. We're going to go team by team and just discuss what they are right now, their matchup, and how they look. All that we can do. So we're going to go game by game ever so quickly. The first game up on the list for today, the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Toronto Raptors. It's a mildly new look Atlanta team. Welcome to Atlanta, Kristaps Porzingis. They've now got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Jalen Johnson is back and healthy. This is a really good basketball team to me. I think they're deep. I'm excited to see what they can look like through the rest of the season. As of right now, they're not running into any injury issues. Everybody for Atlanta is healthy. For the most part, we know what they're doing in their rotations. Like they've got their group of dudes, and I don't think there's a lot of people that are going to be like hopping into their rotation. More or less what we see on the screen right now is going to be where we end up for these guys. Let me take the opponent column off. I could probably make this a little bit bigger. Because unfortunately, we gotta move pretty promptly through this entire mess. Just simply looking at Atlanta, and you know what? It might be a little, we're gonna be fine here. Trey's fine at 9,800. Jalen Johnson's fine at 8,800. I think it's pretty clear that the best overall option from Atlanta is going to be Kristaps Porzingis at 7,300. Power forward, center eligibility. That flexibility will help out quite a bit. I don't think there's much to dig into here for Atlanta. I don't see any major mispriced people. They kind of just fit where they are right now. If we go to the opposite side of this game, that's going to be the Toronto Raptors. Now, this is a team I am not particularly comfortable with right now. I'm not a huge believer in what they are, but they have a lot of interesting pieces. I just don't think that any of these guys fit together properly. Scotty Barnes is obviously here. Brandon Ingram is on this team. He signed an extension in the offseason. He has not played yet for Toronto, even though he came over during the trade deadline last year. So how does Brandon Ingram integrate with this team? RJ Barrett's still here. Quickly was in and out last year. Jakob Poeltl is still here, being like a completely meaningless center, in my opinion. Mamu's cool, but that's a bench guy. I don't know how you go to anything from the bench for Toronto today. I think if you're not looking at Barnes, Ingram, Barrett, Quickly, or Poeltl, you're probably not looking anywhere. I can't imagine when these guys are at full strength, we're going to get a lot of Toronto. This just seems like a mess of dudes to get to. There's not like a single guy on Toronto that I would recommend. I certainly think Atlanta is a better team. If you have a lean on someone for Toronto, I wouldn't tell anybody not to do it, because at the very least, we know these starters are going to be getting a decent, like, Barnes and Ingram and Barrett and Quill, like these guys are going to play 30 minutes, or at least you would expect it to, plus, obviously. They're not tanking like they were at the end of last year. But I don't know how you separate these dudes. They're all going to be projected in this mid-30s range. They're all projected for like low 30s minutes. By the time this day is over, I can't imagine we're paying too much attention to the Toronto Raptors. So now we go to game numero 2. Actually, what might be the easiest thing, I'm just going to pull up the schedule page over here and we'll work our way down from this side. And then let's pull up boom bust. Get ready, boys and girls, if there's any girls. Have you guys seen the salaries yet for today's slate? Has anybody looked to see the stupid thing that is happening on today's DraftKings main slate? Have you guys looked? I'm guessing you haven't. But PJ Washington is the flat 3K today. Yes. PJ Washington is 3K on today's slate. And that is going to be one of the dumbest things ever. Because he's going to be 90% owned. And he should be. We are playing tonight's slate with 7 dudes. There's almost no scenario where PJ Washington isn't in the winning lineup today. So, yeah, PJ Washington is the flat 3K on DraftKings. Remember this. Remember this. All right, let's go to Cleveland and New York. Now, this one's could have been fun. This could have been a really good time. But unfortunately for us, it's a little bit different of a vibe. Because Cleveland is not healthy. Darius Garland is out. Max Strus is out. As of right now, DeAndre Hunter is questionable. So we do have some things that look good for Cleveland. There's no ownership at all coming into this Cavs team right now. But Evan Mobley's at 8,900. Donovan Mitchell's at 9,300. Both of those guys obviously look a bit better with no Darius Garland in for today. Jared Allen is obviously always a reasonable option. But there's not much else here from a value perspective. There are some tournament pivots that I think are very reasonable if you want to go to Cleveland. And this is not the same New York Knicks team that we'll see throughout the year, which we'll touch on in a second. If we're talking about guys that look a little bit more interesting than what their ownership shows, like to a degree, Larry Nance is interesting to me as a value play, but we already have one set in stone. We're not going to need that. If you're going to Cleveland today, I have a very tough time saying it's anybody other than Mobley or Mitchell. Especially on a day where we're just not going to have to find like fake value. Like you could be a believer in Jalen Tyson getting more time right now. It doesn't matter for this 12 gamer. So it's Mobley and Mitchell on Cleveland. And to me, essentially nothing else. Now the Knicks are a different team for today because they're not healthy. Josh Hart out. Mitchell Robinson out. They're claiming injury management. This dude's hurt. He's not going to be playing in their next game either. So no Josh Hart, no Mitchell Robinson. You've got Towns at 8,500, who unequivocally looks like the best option from the Knicks today. He's 30+% owned. He's very easy to get to in my eyes. I like the price. And even if he is playing alongside Yabu a little bit, who at 3,800 is the only other guy from the Knicks that I would really have a ton of interest in, the more you get of Towns at the 5, the better a player Towns is for fantasy. When Towns plays at the 4 alongside Mitchell Robinson, he is worse in DFS. His scoring will come down. His rebounding opportunities come down. The more minutes you get of Karl Anthony Towns at the 5, the better he is in a DFS scenario. I think today is a spot where you're going to get more of Towns at the 5. And that's appealing. Obviously, if you like Jalen Brunson today, feel free. Probably not a guy I'm going to be getting to a ton. But Yabu for value at 3,800 with no Mitchell Robinson. And the more interesting part of Yabu today, small forward, power forward eligibility. Spoiler alert, Gershon Yabusele does not play small forward, but we get the benefit of that fun positioning for today. I know this is not a full strength game, but at the very least, these are two of the 3 or 4 real teams in the East. Let's try to enjoy this Knicks Cavs game tonight. You know, it's the opposite of the Knicks Cavs game. The Brooklyn Nets in Charlotte, 4.5-point underdogs. Let's be clear. If you watch this game tonight, you're a psychopath. No one should see a single possession of this game. Joe, yes, Malcolm Brogdon is retired. He retired a couple days ago. This Brooklyn team is garbage. This Charlotte team is just some more garbage. This game's going to be awful. Awful. Pretty much everybody on the Nets shouldn't be in the NBA. They're going to be playing dudes we don't know. They're certainly going to be playing a lot of dudes that we shouldn't roster. Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Michael Porter Jr. If you're clicking a name on the Brooklyn Nets, it needs to be one of those 3 names. If it's not, please don't play Brooklyn Nets. No one's more than 8% owned. That's Claxton. He's 5,500. That's fine. Cam Thomas is 7% owned. That's right with his optimal rate. There's essentially no interest in Michael Porter Jr. I have no interest in Michael Porter Jr. I think he is going to look infinitely worse now that Nikola Jokic isn't the person setting him up. Oddly enough, going from the ecosystem of Jokic to Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Zaire Williams, and Terrence Mann, probably going to have some negative connotations to your scoring. If I'm going anywhere, it's Cam Thomas or Nick Claxton. I would prefer to have very minimal exposure to the Brooklyn Nets. I hate this team, and I hope I don't see them all year. Now, at least Charlotte has fun dudes. But this is another team that is not getting any ownership. They're also not healthy. Grant Williams, still out. Coming back. He's been out for a full year now. He got hurt really early last year. Josh Green, still out. Welcome to the league, Con Knipple. You'll be making your debut today. This is a team that doesn't have a center, or at least they don't have a center that relates to winning basketball games, whether it's Mason Plumlee or Moussa Diabate. It's not a place you want to go. The highest owned player on Charlotte right now is $3,200 Ryan Kalkbrenner. Now, I know Charlotte likes him. He's a rookie. He's coming in. That's a really nice value option, especially for a team that has no limiting factors from a playing time perspective. That said, we already know that we're going to have PJ Washington in every lineup we build because of his stupid salary. So guys like Ryan Kalkbrenner are infinitely less interesting than they could have been because we already have a 3K guy in our lineup. This is going to be the thing that everybody needs to remember. We're all playing with 7 roster spots today. There are times where you're like trying to be cute with a chalk guy. It's not one of those times when a no doubt about it, like league average or better starter is going to play 30 minutes plus and be flat 3K. He's going to be in the optimal lineup, probably whether he plays the second half or not. So guys like Ryan Kalkbrenner, not as interesting. I think it's pretty clear if you're playing someone from Charlotte, it is likely LaMelo Ball. As always, you could roll the dice on guys that are going to play. This is another big thing I want everybody to take away. Guys that are going to play no matter what are obviously always viable in some manner. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, these guys that can go out there, take 25 shots in a game. They're perfectly reasonable pivots in any lineup you build. There's never a day where it's like you can't play LaMelo Ball. That said, I pray that I have no ownership to this game. That would be great. Miami Heat, Orlando Magic, Battle of Florida. Heat, 8.5-point dogs in Orlando today. You might be wondering why they're such big underdogs. Well, Tyler Hero is out for this game. Khalil Ware is questionable. And we're going to be seeing the debut of Norm Powell for this Miami Heat team. Not a lot of ownership coming into Miami right now. 6% is the max for Davion Mitchell. As I look at this team, clearly Bam Adebayo is in that same list of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller type dudes where Bam Adebayo is going to play 30 plus minutes without any issues. At 8,400 power forward center, you could play him. He's 2% owned. He's 2% owned. He's a GPP play. That's all it is. I think Drew Smith on a different day could have been a little bit more interesting at 3,400. I think he's going to see a little bit more playing time for this Miami team right now with Hero out. Don't really need the value, unfortunately. Not a ton of interest in Wiggins. Davion Mitchell is the highest owned guy. We have him at 3% optimal. Obviously, this is a terrible matchup for Miami. Orlando does not play fast. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. This is going to be a really tough spot for Miami. Their main offensive creator is not here. I think they are going to struggle dramatically to try to create any real offense in this matchup. There's a reason no one's owned. Mitchell's going to get a lot of playing time, and he is fine to be rostered, but you're not going to find a priority coming out of Miami. It's just not what that team is today. Orlando, on the other hand, is a wild card. Now, Mo Wagner is still out. He's coming back from the torn ACL. Pretty sure that's what it was. These guys are at full strength, other than Mo Wagner. But the tricky part here is, what do we do with this offense? Because we have to integrate Desmond Bane now. Banchero's at 8,200. Franz Wagner's at 7,600. Desmond Bane is at 7,100. I would be very surprised to click on any other name than those three dudes. Based on our data right now, the lean would be to Paolo at 8,200. I'm a very big believer in what Paolo Banchero is going to be this year. I think he's going to take a bit of a leap, or at least I hope. Did I see the Bane picture? I did. It's very fun. It's very fun. But it's Banchero, Wagner, Bane. Look at the ownership. 8, 5, and 2. But Paolo Banchero is a little underowned. Franz Wagner is a little underowned here. Those are the focuses. And these are the things that open us up from that PJ Washington salary. We have more ability to get better dudes. And that's going to be the hunt for today, to utilize that value. Will Bane impact the pace for Orlando? Probably not anything crazy. Carter Jr.'s good value. Yeah, I would disagree there wholeheartedly. 5,600 is pretty expensive for Wendell Carter Jr. He's a total no chance dude. You need way too much out of Wendell Carter Jr. on a day like today. If he's 5,600, he should be $1,000 cheaper than he is right now. He is actively not a good. That's actively not a good price. But this, I don't expect to get a lot of Orlando when these guys are at relative full strength, just because Banchero, Wagner, Bane are going to eat from each other. That's going to be tricky. They're not a great DFS team. They're an exceptional real team. They're not a good DFS team. Keep your eyes peeled on the Jalen Suggs news. If he ends up out, $3,700 Tyus Jones probably looks a little bit better. But don't forget, Anthony Black is still on this team. We talked about Toronto. We talked about Atlanta. Let's get to this one. Philadelphia 76ers, slight dogs. Was that right? Or were they favorites? Slight dogs in Boston. Jared McCain is out. Still coming back from the torn UCL in his thumb. Paul George is out. No trend in Watford. This Philly team, man. There's one guy we need to play here. $8,700 Joel Embiid. Currently projected for 15% ownership. That's the same optimal that we have for him right now. 8,700. And this is a very different matchup because Joel Embiid is not taking on a Boston team that has Al Horford, Luke Cornett, Kristaps Porzingis. No. Joel Embiid is taking on a Boston Celtics team that is going to play Neemias Queta, Chris Boucher, Luka Garza, other idiots that suck at center. Yo, Joel Embiid is going to smash these dudes today. 15% own Joel Embiid taking on this Boston team today. Yo, 8,700. That price is stupid. Love Embiid. Everybody's going to love that. We know this. Hard to not. Flat 3K Dominic Barlow would have been super interesting if this PJ Washington stuff wasn't happening, because he's going to play for this Philly team, and enough that he's a great value, but I don't know how you need it. Edgecombe at 5K doesn't strike me as that kind of day. $8,900 Maxey just strikes me as too expensive. As I look at Philly, it's Embiid, and that's it. Give me Joel Embiid, man. Hey, it's opening night. We're not going to have a lot of options to get to Joel Embiid. At least I don't think we are. So look at this Boston Celtics team for today. If you've been living under a rock, Jason Tatum's out with a torn Achilles. Jaylen Brown is technically questionable for tonight. Obviously, we don't have Tatum, but we don't have real dudes. Look at some of these names. Luka Garza, Chris Boucher, Josh Minott, Baylor Shireman, Wendell Moore. Jordan Walsh is still here. Tillman's still here. No. This is a no for me, dog. This is a big no. Jaylen Brown at 8,900. 1.5% owned. And the most owned dude from the Celtics. Derek White's already 8,300. Like, I love Derek White. I can't justify that price tag. Peyton Pritchard is 6,900. No. Like 5K Queta on a different day, sure. Kapadeklin, third in a mini-max. Nice, man. Anthony Simons at 6,700. No, I don't. Josh Minott is the only guy that I would want to roll the dice on for this Celtics team at the flat 3K, and today is just not the day you need Josh Minott at flat 3K. I don't know what you're doing with Boston. We don't have a single Boston Celtic higher than 1% optimal. Just no on Boston. Clean no across the board. All right, we're at the halfway point. How many games have I hit? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We're doing okay. I want to thank you guys for being here and putting up with me on a day like today. A 12-game NBA slate on the second day of the year is hard. I can't give out plays at 9:30 in the morning. So much is going to change from now until lock. So the most important thing that you guys can do is understand what's going on for today, and then make sure you're here at 5 p.m. later tonight. NBA Deeper Dive. Myself and DK DFS are going to go through every one of these games. Then you'll get another hour with either Greg and Spags or Greg and Eric. I'm not sure. I think Eric's going live as well. It's from 6 to 7 on OddsShopper, so keep your eyes peeled. But we got a lot going on. If you're interested in coming to hang out with us on the DFS side, you can get everything we have for the NBA for $1 if you use the promo code SGA. That will only work today. It'll be $1 for today, full price renewal tomorrow. But you can get in for $1 if you want to. What I recommend you guys do is click the link in the description, promo code OKC, 20% off any NBA package or any all access package. So if you're an NBA fan and you just want to hang out for the next month and get our projections and sims and everything we have, come on in. If you play other DFS sports, NFL is here. I assume you guys do that. NHL is here. MMA, PGA, NASCAR. You can get access to everything with that OKC promo code, 20% off. There is a link in the description of this video. We couldn't make it any easier. click the link, head to Stokastic, sign up either using SGA or OKC. Either way. Is PJ Washington even starting? I mean, certainly doesn't matter. That's one key takeaway here. But yeah. Flag, Washington, Clay, AD, Lively, allegedly. Next game. I mean, this is another steaming pile of garbage for today. New Orleans Pelicans, 4.5-point dogs in Memphis, taking on the Grizzlies. Pelicans have some injury issues, that's for sure. No Carlo Makovich, or at least not likely. He's doubtful. Kevon Looney, new signing for the Pelicans. He's out. DeJounte Murray, he's going to be out for a bit, coming back from the torn Achilles. But Skinny Zion is here. Skinny Zion is going to run the show for this team. There's not really anybody that's going to slow him down. Do you guys see the ownership number on Zion Williamson for tonight? That number says 57% owned. Now, if Zion is 57% owned by the time we get to lock today, I clearly don't love it. There's a never-ending supply of 8K, 9K dudes on this slate. Am I going to have Zion? Yeah, of course. He looks phenomenal today. He's going to dominate the ball. The price is fine. The position is fine. I did skip the Bulls game. I'll get back to that one. Don't worry, Lord King Guru. We'll get back there. Same for you, Riley. We'll get back there. He's an exceptional play. One of the best of the day. It's not even close. He absolutely looks good. 50% ownership on pretty much anybody other than PJ Washington today is not something I'm going to love. But right now, he looks like he's a cash game lock at that price tag. That's what happens when Brandon Ingram's not here and CJ McCollum's not here. It's Jordan Poole and nobody else, really. Who's going to take the ball from him? It's not Herb Jones. It's not Sadiq Bey. So yes, get to Zion. He's one of the best plays in the league today. Be aware of his ownership. After that, there's not a single guy on the Pelicans north of 1% optimal. 2% ownership to Trey Murphy. He's expensive. Poole's not that interesting to me. It's Zion or bust from the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies are a real problem right now, and I assume we're going to have to take a look. These guys are walking wounded in a big way. Scottie Pippen Jr. out. Zach Edey out, Ty Jerome out, Brandon Clark out, Vince Williams out. We got a lot of new names here. This is a team that's going to be starting Jock Landale at center. He sucks. They are running, I don't even want to say short on bodies. They're already missing too much. They're just missing way too much. Ja Morant, 9,400, 10% owned, 7% optimal. I don't mind going to Ja, but Triple J is still here at 8,600, and he's 2.5% owned. I just want to put this one out there right now. If Jaren Jackson Jr. is 8,600 and 2.5% owned, and Zion Williamson is 50, give me 40 of Zion and 10 of Triple J. You guys seeing where I'm going with that? Triple J, no Bane. Pelicans team not very good, doesn't have a center. Why would I not want Triple J in this exact same matchup at no ownership? Natural pivot in GPPs. Keep your eye on Triple J today. Javon Small is a value point guard that has to soak up time, is viable. I think that'll go away by the time we get to lock. Not much else here, though. Landale, dice roll. Ja Morant, Triple J. Maybe Javon Small. I assume that ends up looking like something we don't give a shit about by the time we get to lock. Rolling it back to the Detroit Pistons and the Chicago Bulls. Pistons Everybody's favorite darling from last year, no Jaden Ivey for this one. Ended up having to undergo surgery recently to relieve some swelling in his knee after last year's broken leg. I think he's getting a little bit of, the surgery is on the opposite knee, so maybe he's overcompensating. Marcus Sasser, doubtful. Welcome to this team, Duncan Robinson. Welcome to this team, Karis LeVert. And not welcome to this team, Malik Beasley. Zern, yeah. We will bounce between the two of them once we get a little bit more established. I can barely give analysis today based on where we're setting up. So Detroit, Cade Cunningham, 9,900, 30% owned, 30% optimal. Absolutely looks great at this price tag. Will dominate the ball. We're talking about a 30% usage plus dude. He's going to do everything. So if you're clicking on a Detroit name, it's probably Cade Cunningham. I'm not shocked to see that ownership. And this is a really nice spot because Chicago is terrible. Their defense stinks. So give me Cade. Nobody else is above 2% optimal. Have a little bit of interest in Asar Thompson, but one of the biggest issues here for Detroit, no MPE for Cade, Duren, Thompson, Harris, not a ton of flexibility here for Detroit. And that kind of makes me want to pump the brakes here on anything other than Cade. Now, I hate this Bulls team with a raging passion. I find them to be a dumb organization. I didn't like that Josh Giddey trade. But that said, good deal for them. I like that extension that they signed for Giddey. That's a nice price. No Kobe White tonight. So the best player on the Bulls will not be playing. Zach Collins also out for this one. 14% ownership coming into Trey Jones. I think that makes a ton of sense with Kobe White out. He's flat 4K. He's 14% owned. We have him 10% optimal. Just a very reasonable value option. Josh Giddey's 9,200. 6% owned. That is not a price tag that gets me excited. There are plenty of unowned guys in this range. I don't think Josh Giddey's the one that I need in my life. By the way, Pistons 4.5-point favorites in this one. I love Matas Buzelis. He is going to be a really good NBA player. He's 5,900 in power forward only today, percent owned. While I like him in real life, I don't like him today. And if you pay 8,800 for Nikola Vucevic in this one, you deserve to lose every cent you have in your life. 8,800 for Vooch? Come on, man. That's more expensive than Triple J, isn't it? Like, what are we doing here? Don't click that name, guys. You play Vooch today, you deserve to have no money. Trey Jones and Giddey are probably the only names you want, and I think you can find better versions of Giddey. But Trey Jones is the best play from the Chicago Bulls, and I know that gets everybody excited. One last reminder, don't play Vooch. Oh, the Washington Wizards taking on the Milwaukee Bucks today. Bilal Coulibaly not going to be playing in this one. It's a weird Wizards team because they obviously stink, but at the same time, like, they're getting better, I guess. There's no real ownership here coming into the Wiz. 6% to CJ McCollum. 4 to Marvin Bagley at 3,100. Seems like CJ McCollum is the name that you want to click on here. $7,300 shooting guard. I'll pass. You can make a case that Chris Middleton looks more interesting than CJ McCollum. Nobody here for Washington looks interesting. You know, Whitmore's already at 4,800. Nah. Sar's 7,900 center only. No. What would we want here? Highest optimal rate is CJ McCollum, 6.9%. No, there's nothing here for Washington. This is a very different team now. You're probably going to see like Bub Carrington, CJ Middleton, Keyshawn George, Sar. Like, that's garbage. This is a terrible basketball team. It's not a team we're going to. This next team, we probably talk about one guy here. You guys might have heard of him. Don't accidentally click one of his brothers because they're all on the team. The Milwaukee Bucks are on this slate. No injuries for Milwaukee, which is helpful. Giannis Antetokounmpo, $11,100. Power forward, center eligible, 39% owned, 30% optimal. I should not have to explain why that's still fine. One, we still have the PJ Washington thing. We already have a 3K guy in everything we're doing. Paying for someone like Giannis becomes very, very easy. There's not a ton of pay-up options on this slate like him. The ceiling here is as big as anybody playing. Happy to pay up for Giannis. Easily one of the best plays of the day. The next highest owned guy is KPJ. 6,500, point guard only, 7% owned. Next highest optimal rate. Somebody's got to shoot. KPJ is certainly not going to hate it. Now, I think Ryan Rollins is better than Kevin Porter Jr., but for right now, I think KPJ is probably more in line for a bit more playing time. We also have the debut of Miles Turner, 6,700 center only. Have to figure he's going to be looking a little bit different. Not all that interested, but we don't know what he's going to be like now with Giannis as this two-man combo. Somebody to keep an eye on, certainly, Miles Turner. The LA Clippers. I hope I get a lot of the Clippers today. I'm very inspired by their outlook for this season. They appear to be at full strength for today. Now, there's no ownership. 6% to Kawhi is the high mark on DraftKings for this Clippers team. They're playing the Jazz. The Jazz are probably the worst team in basketball. Clippers are 10.5-point favorites on the road to open their season. Look, $9,100 Harden, I guess. I don't need Beal. I'd say that 8K Ivica Zubac against this Utah team is probably the most sneaky dude. Like, would you be surprised about a 15-15 game from Zoo? The problem there is that 8K is just a lot. I love Zoo. I think he's one of the most underrated players in basketball. 8K is a tough price to click on. All of these prices are pretty tough for this Clippers team. If I'm picking one dude from the Clippers today, probably James Harden. Now, we go to Utah. Now, this team's trash. I mean, I believe they have the lowest win total for the year. Isaiah Collier out. George Niang out. 15% ownership coming into a $3,700 Bryce Sensabaugh. Look, I like Bryce Sensabaugh. And that's a very normal value play for him. There's a lot of bodies on this Utah team, and I'm not sure that I have that kind of confidence in Bryce Sensabaugh. The only other guy getting any other love here, $6,100 Keontae George, point guard, shooting guard eligible. On a different day, a 3K Walter Clayton could have been more interesting. PJ Washington is ruining this slate. There is something to be said about a $6,800 Lauri Markkanen. Now, he's going to have a terrible night from a, focus perspective. Because clearly the Clippers know that he's the only dude that's even mildly real offensively. $6,800 for Lauri Markkanen's a fun price tag in a large field GPP. The main on DraftKings today is $5 and 95,000 entries. Like a 1% owned Lauri Markkanen today. You can't be too mad there. And I'm just going to get this out of the way right now for everybody that I'm sure is going to have these questions. I don't want Ace Bailey. I'm cool on the Ace Bailey experience, particularly in an opener against the Clippers. I don't think he's going to enjoy his time getting to the rim for Zoo, Kawhi, Derek Jones Jr. Nah. I know people love Ace Bailey. I am not an Ace Bailey guy. Just let's put that out there. The guys you want from Utah are Bryce Sensabaugh and Lauri Markkanen. The battle of the state of Texas. San Antonio Spurs taking on the Dallas Mavericks. We're about to hit the main thing for the Spurs. No De'Aaron Fox, no Kelly Olynyk, no Jeremy Sohan, and unfortunately for one individual girl on this planet, no Lindy Waters. So somebody's girlfriend is going to have some extra time on their hands. Lindy Waters not going to be getting onto the floor here for the Spurs tonight. You guys know what we want from San Antonio. I don't think that's going to be all that crazy. 10,900 for Victor Wembanyama. Brandon, yeah, I disagree, Brandon. 10-9 for Wemby. 15% ownership, 18% optimal. I think he's the third best player in the league now. Or at least that's what we're going to learn by the time this season is over. He's obviously already the best defensive player, and there's not even somebody on his corner. But I think he's going to be just the problem of all problems. And if we can get him for 15% ownership today, I'm cool with it. I'd like to be over the field on Victor Wembanyama. For the rest of this team, pass. Stephon Castle's 7K. I am not a believer in his offense. I don't want to pay that rate. After that, we're out of dudes worth rostering. I don't want Champagny, Vassell, Cornette, Dylan Harper. I don't want any of it. I want more Wemby. 15% is too low. That is a guy that I would have the goal of having more here. Is there a world where you take Zion over Giannis? Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty sizable salary gap. All right, I want to hit you guys with the schedule. We've got about 10 minutes to go. NFL strategy show coming up after this. Every day we do this show, the NFL strategy show will pop up after it. Don't want to miss it. You guys love the NFL. You know where to be. Let me make sure I get the rest of this schedule correct. At 5 p.m. Eastern time, I will be back with DK DFS breaking this slate down. Greg will be back at 6 with Spags for Live Before Lock. And then the big one for all of you, we will be live on Playback at 7 o'clock. Playback.tv/Stokastic. We're going to watch the games for the first hour. You guys could watch along with us. We're going to chat, talk about bets, talk about DFS. We did it last year. We're doing it again today. Come watch the 7 o'clock games with us today. Am I posting cheat sheets on X for FanDuel today? Cameron, I think so. If it's not today, they'll be starting up on Thursday, is my goal. It's just a lot of moving parts for these first 2 days. But Cameron, I'm going to be posting, let's just say 5 times more stuff than you saw last year at a minimum. Whether it's today, though, it just might be tough with 12 games and still getting all my ducks in a row. Because I got to go through every one of these teams, project rotations. It takes longer right now to acquire that knowledge. All right, we already touched on the Dallas Mavericks earlier. This is the stupidest part of the day. There's nothing we can do here. Like, they've ruined the slate on DraftKings is legitimately ruined because of this. In terms of the way that we play it. For those of you that weren't here at the start of the show, I'm going to explain why. If you're playing on DraftKings today, PJ Washington is incorrectly priced. He is the minimum salary 3K option. Now, we also know that Dallas is hurt. Gafford doubtful, Exum out. Clearly, Kyrie Irving not going to be playing in this one as he works his way back from the torn ACL. Don't overthink this, okay? I want to be very, very, very clear with this messaging. Don't think you're smarter than everybody else with this PJ Washington stuff today. This is not your everyday chalk play. We have a guy projected for 29 fantasy points at 3K. We have him projected for 90% ownership. Let the people that don't understand how to play make this problem. Let them soak that up. Just put PJ Washington in every single lineup you do. If you're listening to me, that should be your only takeaway. Let other people ruin this. Just put him in, find your other 7 spots. That is all you can do. Anthony Davis also looks great. 9,700 power forward center eligible, 35% owned on DraftKings, 41% optimal. I'm happy to get to AD here. The power forward eligibility helps. I don't love the spot, if I'm being honest, but I like the price. I like the flexibility. Do I think I could find another guy in this range that's a little bit less owned, given the fact that I'll have PJ and everything? I sure do. There you go. Stephen Leibowitz said PJ Washington 6,100 on FanDuel for comparison. So yeah, $7,400 for Cooper Flagg. Not super interesting to me. I think $5,300 Derek Lively would be more interesting on a different slate. There's nobody else here that you're clicking on for Dallas. If you play on DraftKings, put PJ Washington in everything you do. Don't be afraid to get some Anthony Davis. 2 to go. Sacramento Kings. Phoenix Suns. Kings are very injured. No Domantas Sabonis. No Keegan Murray. These idiots are going to be starting Drew Eubanks at center. Spoiler alert, Drew Eubanks stinks. Sacramento, I mean, this is one of my least favorite teams. This Sacramento team is dreadful. None of the pieces fit together. Most of these guys suck. They brought in Westbrook. Next level stupid. 1% ownership to a 4K Dario Saric is the highest owned guy on DraftKings from Sacramento. I can see the path to a $7,700 DeMar DeRozan because of Sabonis being out. And because Phoenix sucks too. I think this game is sneakier than it should be. Something will be decent for Sacramento because of this matchup. But these teams suck. Listen to me and be very aware. Sacramento and Phoenix are some of the worst teams in basketball. But if there's no ownership here on Sacramento, with no Sabonis and no Keegan Murray, I think we can find something here. Whether that's DeRozan, maybe Levine, but 8,500 is just an insane price for him. Keon Ellis is too expensive. I think if I'm going anywhere here, it's probably DeMar DeRozan. That's gross. That's gross. And on the off chance that Dario Saric starts, go there. But I think it'll be Eubanks. For Phoenix, it's another team that is not good at basketball. Jalen Green is out. Not going to be playing in this one. Some of this data has to be updated, so don't... We were having some issues with our scraper for this game, so don't overreact to this. I just have it on the screen for right now, but we had some issues with the Phoenix scraping. You can tell by the fact that Devin Booker is not listed on this table right now. Just want you guys to be aware of that. We don't have updated Phoenix data right now. I think you're going to pay attention to Devin Booker on a day like today, now that everybody's gone. That's going to be more of a deeper dive question. The final game for today before we turn this one over is Minnesota and Portland. I'm going to share that on my own screen so we could talk about it quickly. This is another game that the 10 o'clock games were failing in our scraper to start the day. So this one's pretty easy. Minnesota, we know what this team is. They don't have Nickeil Alexander-Walker anymore, but we know we're getting Conley, Edwards, McDaniel, Gobert, and Julius Randle. We know we get Naz Reid. We know we get DiVincenzo. Welcome to the rotation, Rob Dillingham. Terrence Shannon's probably going to step into those minutes that Nickeil Alexander-Walker gave up. And they're playing a Portland team that is missing some bodies, but is a really good defense. Donovan Clingan is like the new Rudy Gobert. That's not going to be fun, but Minnesota should have very little issues with Portland. It's just not going to be a fun game because defensively, Drew Holiday, Tumani Kamara, and Donovan Clingan. That's one of the 3 best defensive combos that exist in basketball. But for Minnesota, give me some Ant, man. I'm totally fine with that. Gonna be easy to get to. There's not much else I want from Minnesota, though. It's the Portland Trailblazers that are sort of weird today. And that's because, obviously, Damian Lillard is out. Robert Williams is out. Scoot Henderson is out. We already got the starting lineup. They're bringing Jeremy Grant off the bench. We're going to get Drew Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, Tumani Kamara, Denny Avdia, Donovan Clingan. I like Portland. I'm a fan of this Portland team. Now, their bench is death. Grant, Thibault, Reith, Murray, Blake Wesley, Yang Hansen, potentially. They don't got a lot coming in, but I really do like that starting 5. Now, Shaedon Sharpe's going to be inefficient. Drew is not the same offensive guy, but Denny had a leap last year. And I think Tumani Kamara is one of the most underrepresented players in the league. But I like this Portland team for today. I want you guys to keep your eye on it. Now, coming up for me, for the rest of today, I'm going to post my top 10 plays for DraftKings and for FanDuel. Later this afternoon, I will tweet them. Those posts will end up on Tails. So you got to make sure you're following me on Tails for that information. Another reminder, SGA is the promo code if you want to get in for $1 for today only. That will renew tomorrow at the same price as whatever package you pick. If you want to be here for a bit longer than that, 20% off any NBA or all access monthly package using the promo code OKC. It's a tough slate to break down, guys. There's just so much going on today with this many games. Keep your eyes peeled for contenders and keep your eyes peeled for the starting 5. It's going to look a little bit similar to the perfect lineup. I didn't want to do it yesterday. 2-game slate, not as fun. I'm going to give you 5 guys. Point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. We're going to look at a couple 3v3s for the 3 remaining spots. Check that out on our YouTube channel. NFL Strategy Show coming up after this. Sign up at Stokastic. Go follow us on Tails.